5 jacket brands men overpay for, and 5 hidden gems M. Instead, 2 jackets, same rack. One costs $900, the other costs $250, same fill power on the tag. Same water-resistant shell, same YKK zippers running down the front, in some cases built in the same country, in the same factory, by the same hands. You hold both of them, you zip both of them. You press the down between your fingers on both of them, and you ask yourself the only question that matters. Where did the other $650 go? Not into the insulation, not into the stitching, not into the hardware, somewhere else, somewhere you can't feel when you put it on. Today, we're looking at 5 jacket brands that men consistently overpay for, and 5 alternatives that deliver equal or better performance for a fraction of the price. We're going to talk about fill power, shell fabric, construction, hardware, and cost per year of use. We're going to talk about where your money actually goes when you buy a name brand jacket versus a brand that puts the budget into the product and not into the story around it. By the end of this video, you're going to stop asking which brand and start asking what's inside it. Before the brands, let's talk about criteria, because if you don't know what makes a jacket worth the money, you'll keep paying for the wrong thing. A jacket earns its price through 5 things. First, fill power. If it's insulated, anything below 600 fill power is ordinary. 700 is where quality starts. 800 and above is where serious outdoor gear lives. Second, the shell fabric. Not every shell is equal. A laminated Gore-Tex membrane performs differently from a basic DWR-coated nylon. Third, hardware. YKK zippers are the industry benchmark. If a brand won't tell you who makes their zippers, that tells you something. Fourth, construction. How are the baffles built? Are the seams sealed? Is the fill through sewn or box baffled? These decisions affect warmth, durability, and how long the jacket actually lasts. Fifth, cost per use. Divide the price by the number of years you expect to wear it. That number is your real cost. A $250 jacket that lasts 12 years costs less than a $900 jacket that starts delaminating in year 4. Write those 5 things down. They're the entire filter. Now, the brands. Number 5, Canada Goose. In 2000, Canada Goose was a niche cold weather workwear company. Scientists in Antarctica wore their parkas. Film crews in the Arctic wore them. The brand had a legitimate cold weather credential that most outerwear companies never earn and can't fake. Then the logos got bigger, the fur trim got thicker, the jackets started appearing on celebrities and in fashion magazines. And the prices followed. A Canada Goose Expedition parka today runs around $900 to $1,100. The Chilliwack Bomber sits in the $700 to $800 range. These are not cheap jackets. And you expect the price to reflect something extraordinary. The core product is solid. The Arctic Tech shell is durable. The coyote fur ruff on the parka hood has a legitimate wind-blocking function. The fur actually disrupts airflow around your face better than synthetic materials. The down is real and well-rated, but here is where it gets complicated. Canada Goose's fill power on many of their most popular models sits between 625 and 675. That is not top-tier fill. That is mid-range fill dressed up in a very good marketing package. You can buy a jacket with equal or better fill power, a comparable nylon shell, and similar fur or synthetic trim from brands with smaller marketing budgets for somewhere between $400 and $500, and the thermal performance will be functionally identical. In the conditions most people actually wear outerwear: city streets, car trips, weekend errands. The brand spent a decade building the machinery to make the badge worth more than the product. The label on the sleeve is not insulation. The Goose logo is not a technical feature. When you spend $900 on Canada Goose, roughly half of that is the story they've told about cold weather and the people who wear their jackets. Know what you're buying? Number 4, Moncler. Moncler started in 1952 in the French Alps, making sleeping bags and down jackets for mountaineers.
They outfitted the French expedition to Annapurna in 1954. That is real heritage. That is a credential earned in serious conditions.
Then it became a luxury brand. By the 2010s, Moncler was selling quilted down jackets for $1,200 to $2,000. Not because the down inside got dramatically better, not because shell technology took a leap, but because the brand repositioned itself as luxury fashion, they began collaborating with high-end designers.
They opened flagship stores in Milan, Paris, and Tokyo. The jacket that once kept mountaineers alive at altitude became a status symbol for urban wear.
Today, a Moncler Maya or a Grenoble piece will run you $1,500 to $2,000. The down is good, the construction is competent, but you are not paying for expedition-grade performance.
You are paying for the brand's transformation from functional mountaineering gear into a luxury object.
That transformation costs money. It's just not your money well spent. Moncler Group's gross margins are among the highest in the outerwear industry, exceeding 60% in recent years. When a brand's gross margin is that high, the price of the jacket is no longer being driven
by the cost of what's inside it, it's being driven by the cost of what surrounds it. The stores, the campaigns, the collaborations, the positioning.
You are funding all of it. Every time you buy the jacket, you are the margin.
Number 3, Belstaff. Belstaff was founded in 1924 in Staffordshire, England, and their waxed cotton jackets protected motorcycle racers.
Steve McQueen wore a Belstaff. The brand's heritage is not invented, it is photographed, but here is the problem with photographed heritage.
It doesn't live in the fabric, it lives in the price. Current Belstaff jackets run $700 to over $1,000 for leather and waxed cotton pieces.
The Trial Master, the most iconic product in their catalog, sits around $800.
And what are you getting? Waxed cotton, competent leather in some models, solid but unremarkable construction.
The problem is that waxed cotton itself is not a technology that justifies $800.
It is a simple, proven, inexpensive material that has been used in outerwear since the Victorian era.
Belstaff did not invent it, they branded it, and the company has changed ownership multiple times over the last 2 decades. But passing through various private equity and luxury conglomerate structures, each transition brought new licensing deals, new celebrity associations, and new marketing investment. That machinery is expensive to run, but you're funding it every time you buy a jacket with the Belstaff patch. The jacket works, the heritage is real, but you can get waxed cotton outerwear that performs identically.
And in some cases better for considerably less money. The logo carries a surcharge. Steve McQueen doesn't ride the motorcycle with you.
Number 2, Moose Knuckles. Moose Knuckles was founded in 2009. That means the brand is younger than some of your current shoes. There is no heritage, there is no mountain expedition, there is no field research, there is a logo, a fur-trimmed hood, and a very deliberate strategy of placing itself physically and visually next to Canada Goose at every opportunity. The jackets run $600 to $900. The materials are decent. The downfill is real. The construction is competent, but nothing about a Moose Knuckles jacket justifies its price premium over alternatives at $300 less.
What you're paying for is a brand that built itself on aspirational proximity. The logos are prominent. The fur trim is designed for street style, not thermal function. The marketing is aggressive and identity-driven.
Moose Knuckles understood something that very few brands admit publicly. If you put your product in the same visual space as a more prestigious brand,
some of the prestige transfers, it's not fraud, it is a calculated positioning strategy, and you pay for it whether you know it or not.
Strip the logo from a Moose Knuckles jacket, put it on a table next to a Nobis jacket at $300 less. Ask 10 people which one is worth more money. The answers will not line up with the prices.
Number 1, Stone Island. This is the one that will genuinely surprise people. Stone Island is not a fraud.
The brand, founded in 1982 by Massimo Osti in Italy, built a reputation for textile experimentation that almost no one else in the industry has matched.
Liquid ammonia treatment, ice cream dyeing, garment-dyed nylons with rust-proof finishes, fabrics that respond to temperature and change color. Stone Island does things with fabric that feel like chemistry experiments, because they are. The R&AMD is real.
The removable compass badge on the sleeve became one of the most recognizable signals in menswear.
In British football culture, the Stone Island patch developed a cult following that made the badge itself as valuable as the jacket.
The community around the brand is among the most loyal and identity-driven in fashion. And then in 2021...
Let that land for a second. The brand that built its identity on subculture, authenticity, and working-class credibility is now owned by the same parent company as Moncler,
one of the most deliberately luxury-positioned outerwear brands in the world, the same conglomerate that turned French Alpine workwear
into $2,000 quilted jackets for Fashion Week, now controls the pricing infrastructure of the brand, whose patch became a symbol of anti-fashion.
The fabric experiments continue, the quality is still there, but the pricing power now sits inside a corporate structure that has one of the best track records in the industry for knowing exactly how much people will pay for a symbol. A Stone Island mid-layer runs $400 to $600. The shell jackets go from $600 to well past $1,000.
You are getting real innovation and legitimate craftsmanship, but you are also paying for a badge that became a culture.
And a culture that got acquired by a luxury group that prices culture for a living.
The patch is doing more of the work than you're probably comfortable with. Everything we've looked at follows the same pattern.
A legitimate credential, cold weather performance, Alpine expedition history, British motorcycling heritage, textile innovation gets absorbed into a logo.
The logo gets sold back to you at a premium that has very little to do with the cost of production. The brands did not start dishonestly. Most of them started with real products solving real problems. What happened is that the marketing ecosystem caught up, and the story became more profitable than the jacket.
Now let's talk about 5 brands that didn't let the story overtake the product. Alternative one, Outdoor Research, the answer to Canada Goose.
If you've never heard of Outdoor Research, you've never needed a jacket in the Cascades in November, or you've never asked a mountaineering guide what they actually put on their body when their life depends on staying warm.
Outdoor Research is a Seattle-based technical outdoor brand founded in 1981. No celebrity placement, no fashion collaborations. No fur trim designed for street-style optics, just jackets built for people who use jackets in real conditions.
Their insulated pieces run $150 to $400. Their technical shells sit in a similar range. The materials are legitimate, Gore-Tex integration where it matters, responsibly sourced, down certified to serious standards, hardware that performs in actual cold. Fill power on their top insulated pieces matches or exceeds what Canada Goose puts in their mid-range catalog at less than half the price.
The cost per use math is where this becomes impossible to argue with. A $300 Outdoor Research jacket that performs identically
to a $900 Canada Goose parka in the conditions most people actually encounter costs you 1/3 as much per year of use. Over 5 years, that is a $600 difference you kept in your pocket. The logo on the chest is not famous.
That's the entire point. You're paying for what's inside. Alternative 2, Rab, the answer to Moncler.
Rab was founded by British mountaineer Rab Carrington, who started making down sleeping bags and jackets because he needed them to survive at altitude, and the existing products weren't good enough. The brand grew because guides and alpinists used the product and told other guides and alpinists. No advertising budget, no runway shows. Word of mouth from people whose lives actually depend on insulation quality. Their Microlight Alpine jacket was one of their most widely used pieces in serious mountaineering, runs around $250 to $300.
800 fill power European Goose Down, Pertex Quantum Shell, construction designed specifically to eliminate the cold spots that cheaper jackets create at the seams.
This is a jacket built by someone who went to mountains, for people who go to mountains. Compare that to a Moncler piece with similar down ratings and a shell that is, by every measurable technical standard, less sophisticated than what RAB builds into a jacket at a fifth the price. The difference is not performance.
The difference is the location of the flagship store. If your jacket is going anywhere colder than a parking lot in December, RAB will outperform Moncler by the only metric that counts in cold weather, whether you stay warm. Alternative 3, Fjällräven.
The answer to Belstaff sells you heritage, Fjällräven sells you durability. One of those is a story.
The other one is a measurable, verifiable, observable fact about how a jacket behaves over years of actual use.
Fjällräven was founded in 1960 in Sweden. Their Greenland jacket uses G1000 fabric, a blend of polyester and organic cotton,
that you can re-wax at home with a 60-gram block of Greenland wax, available for $15. That means the jacket is repairable, re-weatherproofed, and designed to last not 3 years, not 5 years, but genuinely decades.
People own Fjällräven jackets from the 1990s that are still in regular rotation because the design intent of the product is permanence.
The Greenland jacket retails for around $300 to $400, less than a Belstaff Trial Master. And the durability proposition is not marketing language, it is baked into the material choice and the construction method. Belstaff's waxed cotton pieces require periodic re-waxing, ideally done by a professional. Fjällräven's requires a block of wax and 30 minutes at home.
One brand designed a jacket that needs to leave your possession to be maintained. The other designed a jacket you can maintain yourself.
With materials you can buy at any outdoor shop, that is not an oversight, it is a philosophy about who the jacket is actually for.
You pay more for less control when you buy Belstaff. You pay less for more durability when you buy Fjällräven. Alternative 4.
Nobis, the answer to moose knuckles. Nobis was founded in 2007, 2 years before moose knuckles.
Both are Canadian brands making insulated outerwear with real down and genuine cold weather claims.
In most side-by-side comparisons, Nobis wins on construction detail at a price several $100s lower. The difference is visible from the outside. Nobis does not pursue hype. The branding is understated. The logos are quiet. The brand does not fight for shelf position. Next to Canada Goose, because it doesn't need borrowed prestige, it built its reputation on fill power ratings, shell weight, and the straightforward position that it is a functional cold weather brand rather than a fashion statement. That constraint is a gift to the product. A Nobis jacket runs $400 to $500 for a piece comparable in temperature rating to Moose Knuckles products in the $600 to $700 range.
The construction is frequently tighter, the seam detailing more carefully finished, and the cold weather rating more honestly specified.
Here's the logic that explains why, when your logo is doing less of the work, the rest of the jacket has to do more.
Brands that rely on status to justify the price don't need the product to win every comparison.
Brands without that cushion build better jackets because they have to. Nobis is that brand. Alternative 5.
Norse Projects, the answer to Stone Island. This is not a replacement for the Stone Island buyer who is specifically purchasing a patch.
If the badge is the entire point, nothing here will change that. That's a different transaction, and it's an honest one.
But if you want a jacket that demonstrates the same level of seriousness about materials and construction without the cult premium,
and without the Moncler Group margin structure sitting above it, Norse Projects is the answer.
Norse Projects is a Danish brand based in Copenhagen, founded in 2004. Their outerwear uses Pertex fabrics, Gore-Tex integration.
Where the end use demands it, Japanese mills for woven materials, and the kind of considered construction that doesn't announce itself, but holds up over years of hard weather. The design language is minimal to the point of invisibility. The branding is almost gone. The entire focus is on what the jacket does in use, not what it communicates standing still. An insulated Norse Projects shell runs $250 to $450. Compare that to Stone Island, where the entry point is above $400.
And the technical outerwear goes well past $800. And remember what happened to Stone Island.
The parent company that turned 1950s Alpine sleeping bags into $2,000 fashion pieces now controls the pricing infrastructure.
Of the brand that once represented fashion's antithesis, the innovation inside Stone Island is still real. The craftsmanship in many of their products is still legitimate, but the price is now being set by one of the most sophisticated luxury margin operations in the world. You are not just paying for the textile experiments, you are paying for the acquisition cost.
The integration overhead and the premium that a conglomerate builds into everything it touches, Norse Projects doesn't have that overhead. So you don't pay for it. Before you buy any jacket at any price point, ask 5 questions. What is the fill power and fill type if it's insulated? What is the shell material and how is it constructed or treated? Who manufactured the hardware? Are the seams sealed and how? And what is this jacket's cost per year if I wear it for as long as it's built to last? 5 questions. That's the complete filter. No brand name survives those 5 questions on its own.
The answers live in the specification sheet, not the label. And if a brand won't publish clear answers to those questions, that silence is an answer.
The jacket industry is one of the highest margin categories in men's apparel. Brands understand that cold weather creates urgency, and urgency creates spending that bypasses logic. They understand that a logo associated with extreme conditions makes you feel insulated, even when the product itself is not materially different from a jacket at half the price.
They understand that heritage, once built, compounds interest indefinitely whether or not the current product deserves it. The best outerwear you will ever buy is the jacket that makes you forget about the brand the first time you zip it up in a real storm.
If you're still thinking about the patch on your sleeve when the temperature drops, you didn't buy a jacket, you bought a signal.
Signals don't keep you warm. The brands that understand this build jackets. The brands that don't build logos and sell them with jackets attached.
You now know the difference between the two, and if that changes how you look at an outerwear label, stay with us. That's exactly the work we do here.